A major romance added to the Wheel of Time's show raises questions about the possibility of a key book character being left out of the narrative. With Robert Jordan's 14-book Wheel of Time series comprising more installments than the show is likely to match, it's all but guaranteed that a significant portion of the character lineup will never appear in live action. In fact, some of those cut Wheel of Time characters have already been identified. So, when looking ahead to the key players still in need of introductions, it's worth wondering which ones are still coming and which ones have been omitted from the story. One such character whose presence in the Wheel of Time small-screen adaptation is in doubt is Gareth Bryne. Introduced in the first book as the Captain General of the Queen's Guard, Gareth Bryne was an important political figure in Andia, a trusted confidant to Morgase, and an ally to the main characters and their cause. The Wheel of Time has yet to feature the location where he based at the start of the series, so it's possible the show simply hasn't gotten to him yet. But while it's true he could appear later, a change to Suan Sanche's story could indicate otherwise. Gareth Byrne was Suan Sanche's main love interest in the Wheel of Time's books. Gareth Byrne was a huge part of Suan Sanche's story. Suan Sanche in Wheel of Time Season 2. One of the most noteworthy changes to the source material is the focus on a romantic relationship between Moiraine Damodred and Suan Sanche. The Wheel of Time Season 2 finale set the two against each other, but the emphasis on the feelings that they've had for each other throughout the series makes it unlikely that the show abandons this subplot completely. This could have important implications for the show's future, especially since the book version of Suan does have a love interest. In the novels, Suan fell in love with Gareth Bryne, whom she met in Book 5, The Fires of Heaven. She became associated with Gareth Byrne after being stilled and exiled from the White Tower. Her fall from grace culminated in her becoming his servant as payment for a fire her group caused. But despite having to work for him, Suan wound up growing fond of Gareth. After Suan regained her ability to channel, he became her warder and fought by her side in several conflicts. Ultimately, Gareth and Suan grew into a capable duo in the fight against the Dark One's forces. Wheel of Time Suan changes hurt Gareth Byrne's chances of appearing. Gareth Bryne was never a lock for the show in the first place. Queen Morgase Lion of Andia Banner from the Wheel of Time. While it's true that Gareth Bryne had a role in the books before meeting Suan, it's worth noting that his importance to the story changed significantly once their paths crossed. Bryne became integral to Suan's story, appearing almost exclusively in her book storylines once the two became entangled. His evolution into a supporting character in Suan's arc underscores the impact her having a different love interest could have on his place in the TV series. If Prime Video's show doesn't have a plan for Suan to become romantically involved with Gareth, it may not see a need to use him at all. Compounding this issue is the uncertainty surrounding the show's commitment, or lack thereof, to the book's Andia cast. When Rand was in Keemlin in The Eye of the World, Robert Jordan introduced readers to a handful of new supporting characters, all of which being associated with the Lion Throne: Elaine Trakand, Gayan Trakand, Galad Damodred, Queen Morgase Trakand, Martin Talonvor, and Gareth Byrne. Elaine was the only one to become a member of the core group, but all of them received recurring roles. Of these, the show has thus far only used Elaine. For now, there's not been much clarity on whether the show is reducing the book's focus on this specific batch of characters, particularly since Keemlin was avoided in both of the show's 2 seasons. If Keemlin continues to be absent in the Wheel of Time Season 3, that'll be another sign that the series doesn't intend to use them as heavily as the books did. Admittedly, this approach would make some degree of sense, because the Wheel of Time already has a massive cast of characters. Adding in a whole new group would only make the series more crowded. Wheel of Time shouldn't drop Gareth Bryne, with or without a Suan Sanche romance. Gareth Bryne deserves to be in the show. Gareth Bryne's biggest contribution to the book's narrative is undoubtedly the romance he shared with Suan, but that's hardly the extent of his worth to the series. Even before the romance element entered the picture, Gareth's inclusion in the story offered a new side of Suan. It forced her to take on a subservient role and become more humble in the process. Being a servant to Gareth was in stark contrast to the life Sion led as the Amerlin seat. Her ability to adjust to it spoke volumes about her strength as a character. This plotline would be severely altered without Gareth Bryne. There's significance to be found in that particular arc, regardless of whether their relationship becomes romantic. As a servant to Gareth Bryne, the Wheel of Time can further develop Suan's character in a really interesting way, and enable her to get a warder of her own. A story that heads in this direction has the potential to be extremely compelling, even if Suan's main love interest continues to be Moiraine. Not only that, but giving Suan dynamics with characters outside Moiraine will help the series flesh out her role in the show and evolve her into a protagonist in her own right. What's more, Gareth Bryne can prove to be a much-needed addition to the cast in ways that don't involve Suan. As the last battle drew closer, the books put more and more focus on military and political matters. After all, alliances between the Wheel of Time's world powers were necessary to defeat the Dark One. When the show reaches this point, Gareth Brine can be an important voice, offering his support and advice to characters like Rand, Egwene, and Mat as they make decisions that could shape the battles ahead.